You ever sit down in your favorite chair, take a deep breath, and think, why am I feeling so drained lately? Not sick, not exactly in pain, but just off? Like your body's not keeping up the way it used to? I remember one afternoon, I was folding laundry. Nothing strenuous, just shirts and socks. And suddenly, I had to sit down. My back ached, my knees felt heavy, and I was tired. More tired than I should have been for a Wednesday. At first, I brushed it off. Maybe I didn't sleep well, I thought. Or maybe it's just one of those days. But then, it kept happening. Little things became big things. I'd walk to the kitchen and forget why. I started skipping my morning walks. I read docs, and bit by bit, I felt like something inside me was just slowing down. It made me wonder, what am I doing that's making me feel older than I am? That question stuck with me. So I started paying closer attention. And what I found shocked me. It wasn't some big dramatic change. It wasn't about illness or age catching up. No, it was the little things. The habits I picked up without thinking. The routines I thought were harmless. Turns out, those small things were quietly wearing down my energy, my health, and maybe even cutting years off my life. That's what I want to share with you today. 7 everyday habits that seem innocent, especially after we turn 60, but could actually be hurting us far more than we realize. Some of them surprised me. Some of them I had been doing for years. And if you're like most people, you're probably doing a few of them too, without even knowing it. But here's the good news. Once you see them, you can change them. And change, even after 60, can be powerful. So let's walk through these together, with honesty, maybe a little laughter, and hopefully, a few aha moments that just might help you live not only longer, but better. Let's talk about something a lot of us brush off like it's no big deal. Breakfast. Now, I used to think skipping breakfast was actually a smart move. You know, save the calories, or I'm not really hungry in the morning anyway. Sound familiar? Well, my friend Mary used to say the same thing, but every morning she'd just have her coffee. Black, maybe a splash of cream if she was feeling fancy. And that was it until lunchtime. She'd say, I'm too busy to cook eggs, or I'll eat when I get hungry. And honestly, for a while, she seemed fine. But about a year in, she started feeling off, tired all the time, moody, gaining weight even though she wasn't eating much. When she finally went to the doctor, she found out she was in the early stages of prediabetes. She was stunned. Here's the thing, skipping breakfast, or just grabbing a piece of toast and running out the door, throws our whole system out of balance. It messes with our blood sugar, slows down our metabolism, and actually makes it easier to gain weight in the long run.
Crazy rap. Our bodies need that morning fuel, especially after 60.
Our bodies need that morning fuel, especially after 60. Overnight, your blood sugar drops. And if you don't give your body something steady and nourishing in the morning, like protein, fiber, a little healthy fat, you're setting yourself up for fatigue, brain fog, and even cravings that sneak in later. I've found that even a simple breakfast, a boiled egg, some berries, a slice of whole grain toast, can make all the difference. It doesn't have to be fancy, it just has to be real. So, let me ask you this. What did you eat this morning? And more importantly, did it love you back? Because the first step to living longer might just start with your very first bite of the day. All right, let's talk about something a lot of us, myself included, are guilty of. Sitting. Now, don't get me wrong. I love a good TV marathon. There was a time when my afternoons basically looked like this: couch, remote, and reruns of old westerns or game shows. 4, sometimes 5 hours would go by, and the only thing I moved was the popcorn bowl. At first, it felt like harmless relaxation, but then came the lower back pain. Then my knees started to ache just from standing up too fast. And I noticed I was more tired, not just physically, but mentally, like I had a fog over me. Turns out, sitting for long periods, especially after age 60, is one of the sneakiest health risks out there. Studies link it to heart disease, diabetes, even bone loss. They call it the new smoking for a reason. And it's not just about going to the gym either. You can go for a walk in the morning and still harm your health if you sit for hours after. But here's the good news: we don't need to turn into fitness fanatics to turn this around. We want to spend the time with the higher profile, but now it's not. Simple changes help more than you think. Now, I set a little timer, and every 30 minutes, I stand up, stretch, refill my water, or just walk around the room for 2 minutes. That's it. 2 minutes. It helps circulation, wakes up your joints, and gives your heart a mini high five. So, if you're sitting right now watching this, how about we both stand up for a moment? I'll wait, because even small steps can help us keep moving forward, longer, stronger, and with less pain. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you had a glass of water? If you had to stop and think about it, you're not alone. As we get older, something strange happens. We stop feeling thirsty the same way we used to. It's like the body's drink now signal gets quieter. And before you know it, hours pass, and all we've had is maybe a cup of coffee or 2. That used to be me, honestly. I'd go the whole morning without a single sip of water, just my usual cup of coffee, and maybe some tea later in the afternoon. I never felt thirsty, so I figured I was fine. But I wasn't. I started getting headaches more often. My energy dipped. I had trouble staying regular, if you know what I mean. And then my blood pressure started doing this weird up and down dance. That's when my doctor gently asked, "Are you drinking enough water?" Turns out, dehydration sneaks up on us. It can cause constipation, dizziness, and even mess with our heart rate and blood pressure. And the older we get, the more easily it happens, even without sweating or heat. So what helped me? 2 simple tricks. First, I got a small water bottle and kept it in sight, on the kitchen counter by the TV remote, next to my reading chair. Just seeing it reminded me to take a few sips. Second, I made a new little habit. Every morning before coffee, I drink a full glass of water. It wakes me up better than caffeine sometimes. A little more water can go a long way toward feeling clearer, lighter, and more in control of your health. So, cheers to that. And maybe right now, go grab yourself a glass. Now, here's one I know a lot of us are guilty of: pushing through pain and skipping the doctor. You know how it goes. Something starts to ache, your shoulder, your hip, maybe a little pressure in your chest, and the first thought is, it's probably nothing. I'm just getting older, or worse. I don't want to bother my kids with this. That was me a couple of years ago. I had this nagging ache in my right shoulder. Nothing sharp, just enough to make getting dressed in the morning a little slower than usual. I figured, well, I'm over 60. Things creak. That's life. But It didn't go away. In fact, it got worse. Finally, after a gentle nudge from my daughter, I went in for a checkup. Turned out, it was early-stage joint degeneration. The good news, it was treatable. But if I had waited any longer, it could have led to serious mobility issues. Here's the thing. Ignoring the little signs, the just a twinge, or I'm probably fine moments can cost us big down the road. Many serious health problems start with tiny warnings. And when we catch them early, that's when we have the power to change the outcome. Regular checkups aren't about being paranoid. They're about being proactive. They're an act of self-respect. And honestly, the people who love you, they'd much rather take you to the doctor now than take care of you in a hospital later. So, the next time something doesn't feel quite right, don't brush it off. Don't say, it's just age. Say, let's go find out. Because taking care of yourself, that's not a burden. That's a gift to your future. You ever lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, just wishing your brain would hit the off switch? That was me for almost a year. I thought losing a little sleep was just part of getting older. I'd fall asleep fine some nights, then wake up at 2 a.m., wide-eyed like it was morning, and just lay there, listening to the hum of the fridge. Other nights, I couldn't fall asleep at all. My mind would wander from grocery lists to life regrets, all in the dark. At first, I brushed it off. I'll catch up tomorrow. But I didn't. The tiredness built up. I started forgetting names, missing appointments. I felt foggy, even a little short-tempered. And that scared me. What I didn't realize was that lack of sleep doesn't just make us groggy. It ages the brain. Long-term sleep issues are linked to memory loss, high blood pressure, and even increased risk of dementia. So, I made a change. I started by setting a consistent bedtime. Yes, even on weekends. I made mornings brighter by opening the blinds right away, letting sunlight tell my body it was time to wake up. I even stopped checking emails or scrolling my phone after dinner. Turns out, blue light messes with melatonin more than I thought. Now, do I sleep perfectly every night? Of course not. Butler, I'm sleeping better, and better sleep means clearer thinking, more energy, and honestly, a better mood. So, if you've been tossing and turning, know this. It's not just in your head, it's in your habits. And when sleep improves, everything improves. Let me tell you about my neighbor, George. He used to be the kind of guy who whistled while mowing his lawn, waved at every passerby, and told the same corny jokes every Thanksgiving Butler. And that easy smile, gone. At first, we all thought he just needed time. Grief takes its own path. Butler weeks turned into months. He barely came outside. He didn't answer calls. And by the time his kids noticed something was wrong, George had started forgetting names, even familiar ones. What happened to George is something I've come to understand more deeply as I've gotten older. Loneliness, real, silent, creeping loneliness, isn't just emotional. It's physical. Studies now show that isolation, especially after 60, can increase the risk of depression, cognitive decline, even Alzheimer's. The brain, like the heart, needs connection to stay strong. And it doesn't have to be big. A quick chat with your neighbor, a phone call with your cousin, sharing a laugh at the grocery store, even talking to your dog. Yes, pets count, and they never interrupt. We are wired to connect. And when we stop reaching out, parts of us slowly start to shut down. So, If you've had a quiet day, and I mean too quiet, maybe it's time to pick up the phone, or wave to the person walking by, or join that group you've been thinking about. Because connection isn't just company, it's medicine. There's a quiet sentence I've heard too many times from people over 60. Maybe you've said it too. I'm old now. It doesn't really matter anymore. It sounds harmless at first, maybe even a little humble. But if you dig deeper, there's sadness there, a giving up, a belief that somehow, once we hit a certain age, we no longer deserve to care for ourselves the way we used to. I've seen it in small ways, skipping haircuts, wearing the same clothes day after day, eating whatever's easy instead of what's nourishing. And worst of all, that dimming spark in the eyes. But let me tell you something. Aging doesn't mean fading. Getting older is not the same as giving up. In fact, now is exactly the time to care for yourself more, not less. You've earned it. Every wrinkle, every gray hair, every laugh line. They tell your story. But your story isn't finished yet. There was a woman I met at a local senior center, 78 years old. After losing her husband, she sank into that "what's the point" mindset. But one day she got up, put on a bright red lipstick, and went to a watercolor class. She told me, "I looked in the mirror and saw someone who still mattered." That stayed with me. So, if you've been telling yourself, "Why bother?" try this instead. Because I'm still here, and I'm not done living yet. Aging gracefully doesn't mean disappearing quietly. It means showing up for yourself every single day. So, let's take a deep breath together and gently look back at the 7 little habits we've talked about today. Skipping breakfast, sitting too long, forgetting to drink water, avoiding the doctor, losing sleep night after night, letting loneliness take over, and giving up on taking care of ourselves. Now here's the truth. We've all done at least one of these. Probably more than once. And that's okay. Aging isn't about perfection. It's about awareness. It's about noticing what our body and mind need and responding with kindness. Because growing older doesn't mean life is winding down. No, it means we've gathered enough wisdom to finally live on our terms, to care for ourselves, not out of vanity, but out of love. To choose little habits that help us feel alive, energized, and connected. You don't have to change everything overnight. You don't need a brand new lifestyle starting tomorrow morning. Just one small shift, one better choice, one gentle promise to yourself. Maybe today, it's drinking that glass of water before your coffee, or calling an old friend, or going to bed 30 minutes earlier tonight. Whatever it is, start small, start kind, and start now. Because you're not too old, you're just getting started. And if any of these habits sounded familiar to you, don't worry, you're not alone. We're in this together. Whatever it is, start small, start kind, and start now. Because you're not too old, you're just getting started. And if any of this resonated with you, feel free to leave a comment below. I'd love to know which habit you're working on, or simply how you're feeling today.